Guys, I do not know what to say. So basically I'm watching this video called If Abortion is Murder, Does That Make the Woman who have them murderers? And of course, if abortion is murder, then of course it makes women who have them murderers. But okay, so this is the conversation I'm having with someone who says that abortion isn't murder because fetuses aren't humans or aren't human beings. So let's take a look at our conversation. So basically, this video, before I go into that, this video talks about how pro-life people don't want to talk badly about women who have abortions. That most pro-life people can sympathize for the women. But this is what I say. That does not make women not murderers just because we sympathize with them and don't want to classify them as that. But in all reality, they are indeed murderers in the literal sense of the fact that they're killing a human being. You just proved. So basically, that's what I said. And well, this guy named T-Jazz says, you didn't, he basically quotes what I said, and then says, pro-life people are just more ignorant, religious, and uneducated on the topic. And so I say, so you're saying that human beings in the womb aren't human beings and that caring about such beings is the product of ignorance under what premises? So I'm trying to ask him under what premises, but instead of giving me a premise-based answer, of course, like most pro-abortionists, I would say, they like to just talk, So he quotes what I said again for who knows what reason, as if I don't know what I said. And he says, how would a human being crawl into a womb with the embryo or fetus? What does this have to do with abortion? Are you reading what I'm reading? Like, what the hell is he saying? Unless you are foolishly presupposing that an embryo or fetus is a human being without evidence. Of course, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying a fetus is a human being. Durr. Are you also claiming an embryo is magical penguin god? Wow, these people are like crazy in the head. I don't know. Are you guys reading this? I mean, what's making these guys' brains tick? What's making their brain tick? You know what I'm saying? What's making the brain run and think the way it does? Because I'm freaking scared by the way this guy's talking. It's just insane. It's like the ideology of a psychopath trying to conversate with someone who's trying to produce reason and logic. So let's go on into our conversation. I say a human fetus, quote, fetus or offspring, because fetus means offspring, has a unique genetic code apart from his or her mother and a biology that defines him or her as a human being. When I say and a biology, I'm talking about the whole construct and creation of a fetus. Like when you refer to a person, you're not, a human like me or you, I'm not particularly talking about your fingernails, your eyes. I'm talking about your entire person. I can't believe I actually have to point that out. Little kids know this stuff. A human offspring isn't a cow, a bear, or a penguin god. It's a living human being. Then he goes on to quote what I said, and then says, no, DNA is a blueprint. A blueprint is not a house. Nice try, but you cannot distort reality to fit your presuppositions. I mean, one of the skin cells of a fetus also has DNA that is genetically different than the pregnant woman. Is that skin cell a human being too? No, because I'm talking about the entire fetus, not his skin cell. Just like when I refer to you, I'm not talking about your skin cell or the little chemicals in your brain that make it tick. I'm talking about your entire essence, your being, you dumbass. I can't believe I actually have to point that out. Okay, so he quotes again what I said. Yes, kids are uneducated, blah, blah, blah. Then he goes on to say, since there is no evidence it is a human being, you must be claiming it is another kind of living being, like an amoeba, a fertilized ovum that does not resemble a human being in form or function. If you are claiming it is alive, it is certainly is not a human life. Wow. So he's saying that a human being is more likely, a human fetus is more likely to be a bug or some kind of bacteria than it is to be a freaking human being, of which it is the construct of and the creation of. What a dickhead, man. I mean, these people are sick in the head. I can't believe you guys who are Christians or atheists who value human life actually take these people seriously. I mean, they have a condition in their head and their minds are not right, and I don't know. So I say a fetus isn't just a strand of DNA, just like we aren't just a strand of DNA. They share several biological complexities that we do, and they grow, adapt, and consume. I mean, adaptation is a very big deal when it comes to the being qualified as life. It has even, so I go on to say, it has even been proven that they show cravings and intent while they are still in the womb. So what I mean by cravings is, of course, when a woman craves a certain food that they've eaten before, it's obviously their child. I don't know how it is between children and their mothers, but they have a connection, And when the child craves something, the mother craves it. And when I talk about intent being proven, when I talk about intent, I'm talking about the fact that it has been scientifically shown that a baby in the womb, I believe at 3 weeks, they massaged their eyelids with no more force and no less force to comfort whatever they're scratching. If the baby didn't have any intent or any purpose in their movement, they would have scratched their eyeball out. But they didn't. They just gave it a little, a soft enough touch to not hurt it. So that's what I mean there. That's the intent I've been witnessed in babies, but that's not even the point. It has even been proven. So then I say the chemicals in your brain that produce thought are just a form of DNA, another form of DNA. Does that make it not the product of a complex human being? Now, really take that question into consideration. Just the chemical, if I were to refer to you, like most pro-abortionists say, or pro-choice, whatever you want to call them, they say that their thought process makes them a human being. Well, if we take a strand of your thought process, which is merely the product of chemicals in your brain, it is nothing more than another form of DNA. Does that make it not the product of a complex human being? You obviously, then I go on to say, you obviously don't know squat, and no one with a brain will buy into your excuse for killing your child. Because most people who argue about this, I don't know how to express what I'm trying to say, but they vehemently, I forgot the word, but they argue with their heart and soul about this, denying the fact that the human being is a child, that the fetus is a child, are usually people who have killed their child and have regrets and are like gone into some kind of mental self-defense mechanism that in a stage where they're trying to defend their actions. So anyways, he quotes what I say, then he says, you are claiming a skin cell is simply a strand of DNA. It isn't. Well, what are you talking about? The skin cell that's on my body? Because if you strip all the skin off my body, I wouldn't be here anymore, because the flesh inside of me is who I am, you dumbass. The flesh in my brain, the skin cells on my brain, is who I am. It's part of me, you ignorant fool. I'm not just a piece of what I am. What the hell, man? These people are sick. Then they go on to say, so does a bacterium, and a bacterium is not dependent. and a bacterium is not dependent on a woman's womb to survive like a fertilized ovum is. So he's basically saying that because I say they share several biological complexities that we do, and they grow, adapt, and consume, he says so does bacterium. Bacterium shares our complexities, of course, obviously, yeah. Their brains are growing at the same capacity as ours is. Wow. Really, dude? And then he goes on to say, or he quotes what I say, he says, it has even been proven that they show cravings and intent. Well, I've already gone over that, but he basically says, where's your evidence for this? At what stage does this occur? Blah, 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 blah. The chemicals in your brain, then he quotes what I say, the chemicals in your brain that produce thought are just a form of DNA. Does that make it not the product of a complex human being? And then he says, any evidence for this? You as a typical anti-woman group member have this idea that you can just make all kinds of nonsense up and somehow by saying them they become true. Blah, 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 blah. Yes, this is a very unscientific mind. This person has a very unscientific mind. He has no ability to think for himself, and so he goes back into his little shell, shell trying to deny the truth. So he basically says what I say is propaganda and bullshit, blah, blah, blah. So that's all he really can say. So then I go on to say, dude, a fetus has 46 human chromosomes and not 46 bacterium chromosomes or 46 dog chromosomes. They have 46 human chromosomes. This is why you can't compare a human fetus to a human bear fetus. I mean, not human. I mean a bear fetus or a donkey fetus or a bacterium fetus or what the hell ever you want to compare it to. It is a human being. It exists and it has a unique genetic makeup. Okay, so I go on to say they also have their own human body that's growing, adapting, and consuming. So a unique human that grows, adapts, and consumes is a human being. Like, these people don't understand what I mean by human. It's a fact that your opinion is the mere product of chemicals and genetic material in your brain that can be classified as a form of DNA, human genetic material. It's what makes you a human being, dumb, excuse my language, and not a dog, a cow, or a unicorn god, or whatever the hell he was talking about. Each part of my argument supports the other parts to help any logical-minded person conclude that a human fetus is a human being. You can go ahead and try to tear each part of my argument and then compare it to some nonsense that you want to bring up that doesn't even make sense, but each part of my argument supports the other parts to make anyone conclude that a human fetus is nothing more than a human being. So guys, tell me what you think about our conversation. Tell me, if you agree with my assessment or if you agree with T-Jazz or whatever, and leave your comments down below, and please like and subscribe for more content. Thanks for watching.